Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, home of the YouTube Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers on our one channel. We are now at 107,000. And on our other channel, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, we just passed 37,000. So you really do like us. Thank you very much. Not to mention all the other places that we stream. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is the show about judgments. We don't want to be judging anyone because it is actually a sin, but yet we do it all the time. And that's what caused me to write my book, Holy But Harmful. And we now have the new workbook, The Silent Sin of Judgment Companion Guide. Why? Because we're always judging. I'm judging. I just was being judged. And we need to learn the skills of how to be aware of it so we can cut back on it. So we can say, you know what, the three questions that I say all the time: is it kind? Is it necessary? And is it true? Ask yourself that before you speak. Okay, let's get into our show. I'm super excited. We have a phenomenal guest with us today, and he's been on some of our other shows, and we can't wait to have him back again. His name is Bill Brown, and he is a legend as a sportscaster. His voice will give it away right away. If we didn't see him, we just heard his voice, we'd say, that's the guy doing the play-by-play. So he has won numerous awards. He's in the Hall of Fame, and you're going to recognize him right away. I have a little bit more to say about him, but I want to bring him out. Welcome, Bill Brown. Nice to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, and congratulations on the success of this channel.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So, Bill, I'm coming to you in the world from Greece, and you're in America. You are an American sportscaster, sports broadcaster. I think they both go together. It's terrific. And you've been a legend in the country. And I know people know about you outside the United States, because what happens is someone knows someone who knows someone, right? And the word just gets around. And so you have been exposed to some of the greatest play-by-play moments that have been reported in baseball. You were there calling the action, calling the shots, and you've also been subjected to judgments in many ways, like all of us, because when we're in the public domain, we're basically putting ourselves out there saying, hey, what do you have for me? You have any shots for me today? But today we're going to talk a little bit about another area, which is religion. Religion. And that's a tough one because it starts to get a lot of emotions going in people. And if you notice the cover of this workbook and also the book behind me, it's meant to draw you in to think that we're going to talk only about religion, which is not what the books are about. But today we are going to talk about religion. So that being said, I want to spotlight you, and I want you to just share a little bit of your background in the world of sports, and maybe sometime in that area where you felt like you were judged.
When I was 14, what I wanted to do was be a baseball play-by-play broadcaster, and it happened. The odds are totally against that happening, of course, but if I'm mentoring kids today and this is what they want to do, I do not try to throw cold water on their dreams. I don't think that's a good idea. I think a kid should pursue his or her dream as long as possible. It's also a good idea to have a plan B. But nonetheless, I think that that worked for me, even though I was advised not to pursue a play-by-play career because a career in sales would be safer and financially rewarding and just not as risky in terms of the uncertainty of where the next job was going to come from. We all make our choices. And I think faith played a part in that. Now that I look back on it at age 78, Dr. Jacalyn, I can see that God's hand was in my life. I did not realize it at the time. I wasn't baptized as a Christian until my 30s. My wife and I were both baptized the same day. We had a daughter and we're taking her to church, and we realized that we needed to be baptized if we wanted to raise our daughter as a Christian as well. And so that's kind of been the life journey in a nutshell for me. And we have truly been blessed by God. And I have one scripture for you to get us started. Matthew 7:1-5. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. So as you mentioned, you're being judged. I was being judged. Yes. And especially in sports, I think people have their favorites. They have people they don't care for. But on the other hand, we are blessed to be able, if we're on radio or television, to come into people's homes. And in baseball, that is many, many hours during the summer, we are allowed to come into people's homes. So it's a matter of people being comfortable with us on the air. It's a matter of credibility and all these other things that go into their choices of how to listen or watch a sports event.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Bill. And I want to just comment on something that you mentioned. First of all, you showing up today, me showing up today, it takes work, right? It takes work, it takes prep, it takes research, but people never think about that. They just make a decision in split seconds when they first hear us talk or they see us and think, oh, whatever it is they're going to think, because it's always a judgment. But yet we keep showing up. Okay, you showed up game after game, year after year. What is it that propelled you to just dismiss or not even accept or think about how you could be judged?
Well, if we look at each day as a challenge and sort of a blank slate, if you will, today hasn't happened yet. I haven't done anything yet today. There's a challenge here. I think that's a good Christian approach because we may have sinned in the past. We may have offended someone. And we need to certainly apologize for that and to pray about our sins so we won't keep committing them. But on the other hand, we have a chance to meet someone new, perhaps share a thought with them that might help in their lives. And so each day is a challenge, no matter what we do.
For sure. And something that I think is really paramount to this discussion is we are brought up or not brought up with religion, and we're raised to believe a certain thing. And then as we get older, we may or may not still embrace it. Yet in some cases, those religious beliefs are so deep rooted that we're not able to accept anything else in some cases. And I have an example, which I know I shared with you, but what are your thoughts about what I just stated?
I agree with that. I think that many people do switch religions. They may take a course in college that changes their thinking. They may meet some people, for instance, I'm not Jewish, but I have a lot of friends who are. And I think we need to be tolerant of all religions, Muslims, you name it. And we stereotype people unfairly. And that is a goal, is to get rid of that type of thinking and to be open to conversations with people and to the exchange of thoughts in a peaceful way that could help all of us.
And would you say that it's fair to consolidate this into one word, which is curiosity?
Yeah, I think it's fair. And I think curiosity is very helpful in many ways, because if we're going to judge somebody, which we should not do, we should have all the information possible about that person. And we won't. We just won't. We won't know their life experiences. We won't know their backgrounds. We won't know what they're thinking right now. So therefore, we shouldn't judge. But it would be helpful to try to gain all the information we can about our friends and how they arrived at where they are today, rather than just taking one look at them and deciding, oh, well, he has gray hair, he's old, and I don't think I can learn anything from him, or things of that nature.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In fact, yesterday I was doing a show with one of our team members who has gray hair, and someone decided to write in Santa Claus. And I thought, there you go. There's an example of judgment right there when we decide that we want to label someone with a name.
Yeah.
So, Bill, you and I had the pleasure of meeting in person, which I really appreciate. And one of the things that I shared at the time is that someone said to me that because I stopped going to church when my mother passed away, that God didn't know me or love me. And I didn't know if that was actually true or not, because I'm not that close to the Bible. So I decided to do some research and ask some clergy people, and I'm a peace ambassador, some peace ambassadors. But when I say that to you, that for people who don't go to church, that God doesn't know you or love you, what comes up for you?
No, he does love you. And it's not necessary to be sitting in a church pew to be loved by God. That's not it at all. But yet that is a way to demonstrate your presence, your attendance, your interest. And I think people who do go to church gain from the experience of being around family, so to speak, and learning more from each other, praying for each other, knowing about each other's lives, and commiserating as much as we can, trying to be a Christian and be the hands and feet of Jesus. And so those who do physically go to church, for instance, my grandson has not been going to church. He's been watching online. And that's certainly a way to learn. Sometimes physically we can't be there, but I think if you are there, and let's say you're in a mega church, but you need to be in a smaller class setting in which you share not only learning the word, but learning about the people in there, and maybe sharing a meal with them afterwards, and trying to get a little bit into a situation of being potentially helpful in their lives.
Yes, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think there's also a similar situation. One could be attending a baseball game or watching it. One could be doing an interview in person. You and I could be in the same studio, or one could be in a church or in a synagogue or somewhere and having that shared experience, because there is something to be said about a shared experience that then becomes possibly a stepping stone for a deeper relationship, commitment, collaborations, etc. And there may be times when people don't go to church. I know for myself, when I first got divorced, which was a long time ago, we're not going back there, but I stopped going to church because I didn't feel worthy. And I felt like, okay, I got divorced and you're not supposed to do that. And so I didn't feel comfortable going, but I did eventually get over that. But there is a lot of judgment when people, if you have a conversation, someone will say, well, I'm more spiritual. Oh, what does that mean? So you don't have a defined religion, or so what are your thoughts when you hear someone say that, I'm spiritual?
I would interpret that, without knowing anything else other than the statement, as being a way of expressing that that person is feeling closer to God than before. Maybe has more Christian friends, maybe is spending more time in the Word, maybe taking a class, other ways of growing closer to God, and trying to do what Jesus did, and so that would be my interpretation of it, right or wrong.
Well, there's no judgment here, Bill. We're in a safe space. So,
Right.
so as a man of religion, someone who is going to church and is reading the Bible, can you think of anything? And for those who don't know, there's no script. Okay, Bill has no idea what I'm going to ask him, and I have no idea what I'm going to ask him. But is there something that stands out for you in the Bible that maybe would bring some insights or enlightenment to being judged and judging others?
Well, I did a little work on this, and I ran into this. One of the most hidden and most destructive qualities of sin is judgment. Jesus didn't say, do not judge others out loud. He said, do not judge, because judgment starts long before it reaches our mouths. So that is the the way that I think a lot of us can confess our sins is that, oh yeah, I just saw that person. All I did was see that person, and I made a judgment about that person. And that is totally wrong. We don't have the right to do that if we're trying to live a sin-free life in that regard. And so that requires a little alteration of our thinking when we snap to judgment like that.
Absolutely. And I have here my workbook, and I have a sentence that I wrote in here. Judgment may feel like control, but it always ends in separation. So we're
Good.
putting a wall between ourself and the other person. And so we may feel empowered that we just made some statements that God doesn't know you or love you. So now we have the power. But what we really did was we built this big wall between the two people.
Good way of getting into this. I think, let's say we're at a grocery store and somebody is looking very dazed and confused. And, maybe we think, well, I'm just going to go on about my business because that person just doesn't know what's happening here and there's nothing I can do about it. But if we were to say, is there anything I can help you with? Now we've spun it around to an area that might lead to something. It might lead to a pleasant experience of actually being able to help someone find something, or somebody had lost something, help them look for that, and to try to be a friend to them. So that's another way of looking at it.
That's absolutely beautiful. And I think what it does is it brings an openness. So instead of it being a closed wall or fence, we are now open to engage, to collaborate, to be there for other people. And I've said this before, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like, what is the purpose that we're all here if not just to serve one another and not to give back? And it's so easy to slip into that role of me, which really is boring, as opposed to who can I lend a hand to? Who can I help? And I think when we judge others, we need to start at home. We need to look in the mirror and say, wait a minute, I'm not 100% myself. I think that's an interesting thing, and I love your viewpoint on it. Typically, the people who are throwing the stones have some work to do individually, and yet instead of looking within, they're looking without.
Yeah, and I have gone to a lot of funerals in the last few years. As we get up there in age, we're in the extra innings of life, as I tell my wife. This happens, and so I think one of the most powerful things that can happen at a funeral is to listen to what's being said about a person, and maybe afterwards, talking with the family or friends of the family, somebody will say, hey, I knew that person. I knew who that person was, but I had never met that person. And that person didn't know me at all, but offered to help me, and I'll never forget it. And that's a very powerful statement that, in a completely anonymous sort of way, this was a good person here that we're talking about, not just somebody who bought a company and developed it into a Fortune 500 company and employed hundreds of thousands of people. All these things are noteworthy, certainly, in anybody's life. But then what happens when that person's put in the ground? That if you're looking at that is the end of that life. Nothing more will happen as compared to going to eternity. And this is a small blip on the time screen of a person's existence, if there is eternity.
Definitely. And I think also, Bill, when I was in corporate, we kind of had this tagline, I guess you would say. We had a tagline. It's, we do the right thing when no one's looking. And so what you're talking about at a funeral, the person was acknowledging some goodness, some kindness from this other person, even though they didn't really know each other. And that's a beautiful thing, because every day we wake up, we have an opportunity to help someone, to smile, to give the gift of hope to someone. On the opposite, we also have the opportunity to judge other people, to insult other people, to make people feel not welcome. And so to me, like even saying that just feels so heavy. I'd rather be on the other side, which I know that's where you are too.
Mhm.
So we certainly have people who are probably judging us right now. Hello, we are here. We are still going to keep on. How do you feel that as a world, right, as the collective humanity, we can actually, instead of being preoccupied with all that is not, how can we focus on what is and make it ripple out across the world in positive energy?
I love that question. And I think there are some things that for me are very positive in the world right now. There are many negatives as well, of course, with the wars that we have underway. Hate to see that, but it's going to happen. It's a part of life on this earth. And I think that what I like is when countries come together, we'll say, or people in a country come together for a cause, for anything that's a good cause, to help somebody who needs help, to try to make groceries more affordable for those in Africa, things of that nature. You travel worldwide, you see it, how we are so blessed in this country. We have things, we have material things that people in other countries do not have. And we can share that. We can dig into our pockets a little bit and contribute to someone else who really needs some help. And in fact, to the point that people are dying of starvation. And that's a horrible thing to hear. We don't even think of that very much in this country. But there's a mission there for us. There's definitely a mission field to try to spread the joy. And if we have that joy, we should try to spread it.
Let's join together and do that for sure. Bill, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I believe that I'm in Greece in a place called Saronida, and I'm an American, and I'm was just in London. So completely different cultures between the US, London, and here in Greece. And in Greece, it's more laid back. It's more, we'll get to it. It's going to happen. Whereas I'm used to the go, 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 go. And that I think that's in my blood. But I really feel that having this time in another country, I'm able to look at things in a different way, which is a gift. It's absolutely a gift. And that is that just because you're used to your life being a certain way, that doesn't mean that that's the best way for you. That's just the way that it's been. And I think that's what happens with judgment. We get into these cliques or these groups or these political parties. We're not going down that road, but we just get so sucked into it that we never even pull our head up from the sand and say, wait a minute, there could be a different way. And maybe that way is, maybe it's religion, maybe it's spirituality. There's a lot of different things that it could be. But knowing that we have options to welcome in the good really makes me feel alive. What do you think?
I'm glad you're getting that experience. And I was able to travel to Europe a couple of times, and I had that same feeling that you're having. And before I really try to answer that a little more in depth, question for you. London, for me, is more like America. I have not been to Greece, but I would assume Greece is more like what I've experienced of the other European countries. We have a granddaughter who's in Spain right now studying, and we've talked with her about, well, what's your mealtime like? Well, we have a light breakfast, and then we don't have lunch until about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then we have nap time, and then we have a late dinner that's not very heavy, about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. And this is, of course, so totally foreign to us. We just were not raised that way, but yet I think we can see, and I don't know what the lifetime statistical tables say, but I think that lifestyle of being more relaxed, not pushing as hard, not trying to accomplish 4 tasks in one day and finish projects and things of that nature, like we Americans tend to do, and I'm overgeneralizing, is probably going to lead to a shorter life. And so I find it an interesting comparison, and I'm sure you're able to feel that right now in Greece. Yes, we get frustrated as Americans because we are raised to accomplish things. It's all about, what we've done, what's on our resume, how the company is doing. If we can get 10% more production this year, it's going to be a successful year. I don't think that's a huge worry to many of the folks in Europe. And it's a good learning experience for us that we get all tied up in these things to the detriment of our health and well-being sometimes.
Yes, it can definitely affect our health, just like judgment can. And I appreciate your question. Yes, London and the US, I would say, have a lot in common, depending where on the US you are. It's that go, 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 3 tubes, 1 train, walking a mile. But I really love that. And so I have kind of a different perspective, which is I have ulcerative colitis. I've had it since 1991. It's always there in the back of my mind. I'm in remission. But I think to myself, I only have so much time to do what it is I want to do. And I spent so many years in corporate, which was great, but I feel like I'm really alive now. And I feel like I work 90 hours a week, which I do by choice because I don't consider it work. And I just can't stop myself because I have something else that I want to do. So I feel like if I take a lot of time and slow things down, that my clock could be ticking and I won't get to do all the things I want to do, if that makes any sense.
Oh, I completely understand. And the later you get in life, the more you are aware that your time remaining is short. And so there is that also, that factor.
And I think you also, a person in general, based on my experience, disclaimers, is you start to realize when you're being judged and who's judging you, and you make some choices. You start to set some boundaries, and maybe you're not expressive with it. You're not calling the person and saying, hey, by the way, just someone's let you know, but you take some distance. You take a step back, and maybe you don't invite people that you would have invited before. Maybe you stop going places you used to go because you realize the clock is ticking and you don't want to waste time feeling unloved or unsafe.
Yes, definitely. That's true. We live in a 55 and over community, and everybody seems to get along pretty well here. I'm sure that's not true in every case, but we do get to choose our dinner companions more often than in the past, more often than when we were still working and before we retired. And we have that right. On the other hand, I think it's nice to have a diversity of experiences too. We're not going to like everybody. Not everybody's going to like us. We know that, but it's a matter of tolerating and trying to learn, and maybe we can, make it a little more workable as we spend more time with people.
Absolutely. And we've been talking a little bit about religion, and I want to continue on, but in a different segue, which is if you think about baseball, for example, and you have players who are at the top of their game. It could be any sport.
Mhm.
They're at the top of their game. Their conditioning is at the top. They're spending so much of their time dedicated to the sports, maybe watching videos from other games, and they're getting coached, and then they get injured.
Mhm.
And maybe they get judged. And all of a sudden, their whole life changes. And sometimes people turn to religion and say, God, please help me understand, what is it I need to do? So my question for you is, because you have been calling the shots and in the limelight for a very long time, what have you experienced when baseball players were at the top of their game and then they fell off, and how did they deal with it?
Some did not deal with it well at all because they feel this is the essence of their persona, and they're not able to do what they think they were created to do. And others look at it as if, well, wait a minute now, I didn't fully appreciate the blessing that I've had to be healthy for all those games that I did play. And now I have to slow down. And I'm not that star player anymore. But what can I do to help? Can I pass along a tip to a teammate? Can I study some things that I wasn't doing very well so that when I do recover from this injury, I'll come back and have a better understanding of what I need to do? Because, in baseball, it's warp speed. It's 162 games in 180 days. And there's not much time to think and analyze. Although, as you said, they do look at videotapes and they do analyze what they do on the field as much as possible. but still things are moving very, very quickly, and they are being judged, and they're being judged by their paycheck. So there's a lot of pressure there, and it's hard sometimes for players to shut that out and to go out and compete.
Thank you for sharing that, Bill. I want to talk about another aspect of religion. And I've actually met people who have gone through this experience. They were not religious, and something happened in their life that really set them back. And now they turn to religion. And so when they turn to religion, other people will say, oh, so now he's turning to religion. He didn't believe or she didn't believe for all these years. And now they don't believe that the person is really religious. And so it just goes round and round. You whatever you do or you don't do, people are going to judge you.
Right. And I think, you think about somebody who's being raised, let's say from the cradle, say they were born to missionaries and they've always been religious and all the way through their lives, as compared to a hardened criminal who is being put to death and has a conversion on death row. And now he, like they, will wind up in heaven. And that's difficult for people to square sometimes. Wait a minute, I've behaved, as well as I could and tried to be as sin-free as I could my whole life. This person has done nothing but caused harm and injury to people and even killed people, and we're going to the same place. So that's an interesting dichotomy, and yet that is the truth.
And so, how do we as humans rationalize the fact that in believing in God, that we are forgiven for our sins? And at the same time, we don't want to commit any sins because that could be a sin too. So it's kind of it's an interesting, I don't know if that's which psychological study. I'm not sure what the word is, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I think the older we get, the more experience we get in our faith, we understand, hey, look, I'm so disappointed in myself in what I did. I just cannot believe I have lived this long and I said that to that person. So I just need to ask for forgiveness at this point because I've sinned again and I've hurt somebody else, and that's the last thing I want to do. So we can't really put ourselves above anyone else when we're still committing the same sins that we have been over and over and over again. All we can do is ask for forgiveness, and we're all on an equal scale in that regard. We all need forgiveness.
Absolutely. And something that I also think about, and I tell people to listen to your body. Your body will tell you if it needs a rest or it needs food, whatever it needs, but also listening to our intuition. And so, what I'm trying to rectify in my own mind is if we listen to our intuition, are we avoiding are we not committing a sin because our intuition is good and clean and we follow it? I don't know. That's just that could be a hypothesis.
Yeah. And I've had what I thought was intuition before, and I didn't pray about something. So that I think, if you're talking about raising grandkids or investing in a charity and, giving a lot of money to a charity, anything along those lines, it's a big decision. It's going to affect far more than you. And I think that's a time to pray about this big decision. Intuition, yeah. Sometimes you can trust your intuition. Sometimes, as history will show, you were wrong with what you thought was intuition. So I try to pray about it because it is important. And I think we want to make sure we're doing the right thing before we proceed.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I pray many times during the day, and I wake up and give thanks, thanks just so I can see that I can breathe, because I watched my father, he couldn't breathe. My mother, she couldn't hear. And so many things that we take for granted. And I just would wish that from this episode that people would acknowledge the fact that, hey, maybe I am judging. Maybe we're all judging, and let's just be aware of it, because we're getting some judgmental comments from people, actually, which I'm not going to share because I'm not going to give them a platform. But when we judge, we're showing the world who we are. And so I always say, believe it when someone shows you who they are.
Yeah. And I think we've all had lifelong friendships, and we know those people extremely well. And we've had friendships of a week, and we still feel that we know those people pretty well because they're not afraid to reveal things about themselves, mistakes they've made, things of that nature. And so there are different ways of arriving at friendship and that level of friendship. But I think the deeper we go down this road, if we're, admitting our sins and admitting that we need to improve, I think the closer we can grow to other people.
Yes, I'm right there with you. And something I just want to share with the audience that I put in this book, The Hidden Costs of Judgment. Here are some of them, according to me. Emotional drain. Judgment consumes energy and focus, leaving us tired and frustrated. Strained relationships. When others feel judged, they withdraw or become defensive. Lost opportunities. When we label someone, we close the door to the understanding or collaboration. And blocked growth. Judgment limits curiosity, creativity, and learning.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are in a very competitive country, and it's very typical, I would say, for one guy to say, well, I'm so-and-so, I do this well. And there's a guy who he's not as good as I am at this, but he's better than I am at that. But still I'm, and it's all about competing with other people when that is not very productive, actually, at all.
That's true, because it starts with us. And what I would share with people, I'm in my third round of training as a peace ambassador, and we just were focusing on what we put out into the world through social media. And so the one area that is really in need of some further examination is, do we have the data to back up what we're putting out there? So sometimes people will just post something that they saw someone else posted, and they didn't even bother to research it to see if it's actually accurate. In the meantime, it's getting more and more views, and someone's life could be at risk. And so the case that we actually looked at, the case study, someone ended up getting killed because of what was on social media, and people didn't bother to do their own research. They just were so judgmental and thinking, this is the absolute truth.
I'm glad you said that, and I wasn't aware of that, but I think we've seen in recent, serial killers and assassins that we have been reading about in recent years. And I think there is a lot of misinformation that these people can have access to on the internet, and that can really have the worst type of effect. You're right. And I've done it before. I've reposted things without checking on them. And it's not a good practice. It's just not healthy to do that, because we should, if it's on your Facebook page, we'll say, or your Instagram page, then I think you have some responsibility for what you're posting. And if someone else posted it originally, it bears checking out. Good point.
Thank you, Bill. And also, I just want to share that not everyone out there is going to like me. I'm sure everyone loves you, but not everyone's going to like me. And so you don't have to. I'm not trying to win anyone over. But what I would like people to take away from this episode is the fact that you have a choice when you wake up in the morning. Do you want to put your energy into something positive and maybe achieving a dream that you have, or do you want to put it into posting negative things about people that you don't like? Because that's how you can spend your time. And some people are doing that right now. That's why I'm calling them out on it. You could spend your time posting something positive instead of something negative because you want to be political, and that's your choice. Yeah. So when it comes to these issues that people are highly charged about, what I always say is that I choose not to engage.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to look at it, I think. And what I try to do is just focus on what is happening right now. We can't erase all the sins of the past today. We can apologize, but let's just try to make today and this moment a good time and try to help somebody along the way.
Absolutely. Because as you mentioned, and we've talked about, our time on this earth is limited, and it is a gift that we have, and we all get to choose how we are going to spend it. So, Bill, thank you for spending your time with me and here on our platform. We do have your Instagram if people want to reach out to you. Is there any message you want to leave with people before we close out today?
No, I just want to emphasize that God loves you, and no matter what you've done, it can still end with your trip to eternity if you just embrace Jesus Christ as your personal Savior.
Very well said. And that's a great way to close out the show. Thank you so much. So Bill's Instagram information is in the notes if you want to reach out to him. I really appreciate it. And Bill, thank you for spending your time here today. And I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you. Bye for now. All right. Thank you to all of you who are engaging, and I really do appreciate it. I'm not here to judge either. I'm just here to educate and give some awareness and some questions for you to consider. How am I choosing to show up? Because as we know, people will judge us in the first few seconds. And of course, that's a judgment. And then they may choose not to engage anymore. So if you're spending a lot of your time posting things that are negative, that's okay. That you're showing the world that that's who you are, and that's how you choose to show up. And so for the rest of us who are positive, it puts us in a good place. So I'm going to celebrate the positive. I'm going to give thanks to God, and thanks to all of you who are watching, and just acknowledge the fact that you are important. You matter. You make a difference, and your voice deserves to be heard. So I'm going to leave you with the 3 questions again. Before you speak, before you post, all the people want to post negativity. Is it kind? Is it true? And is it necessary? And I want to go back to the one about, is it true? Sometimes we manipulate the truth so that it goes along with what we want people to believe. So we take part of the information and we leave out the rest, and we decide that that is the truth. And I'm here to tell you that that is not. That is called manipulation. And that'll be another show. So thank you for watching. Our next show is coming up, which is Iconic Women. So thank you for being here. We're going to close out. We're having a beautiful retreat for any of you who really need to kind of chill out and have some wellness. It's going to be at the Horseshoe Farm in Hendersonville, North Carolina. I actually attended a retreat there. It was called a Meditation for Leadership. I actually met the owners, and it was fantastic. So I'm going to play that now. And if you're interested in joining us, I'd love to have you. We would love to have you. We've got 12 spots left. It's in June 3 through 6 of 2026. Bye for now. Nestled in the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Horseshoe Farm has always been more than a destination. It's a living, breathing reflection of community, connection, and transformation. Once a humble family farmstead, it has evolved over the years to become a sanctuary for travelers, seekers, families, and friends alike. Originally reimagined by the Turchin family as an Airbnb property, the farm began its journey into hospitality with simple roots, welcoming guests to experience the beauty and peace of the sacred land. As word spread and the vision deepened, the property organically blossomed into a boutique resort, rooted in the values of slow living, intentional experiences, and the magic of gathering. Today, the Horseshoe Farm is a 90-acre experiential retreat that merges hospitality, wellness, and culinary excellence. It is home to the Stable Spa, the Silo Cookhouse, distinctive lodging options, and a curated calendar of events that nourish mind, body, and spirit. Our guest experience is designed to be both grounding and expansive, where the comforts of luxury meet with the simplicity of nature. At its core, the Horseshoe Farm is about transformation of land, of self, and of community. We are proud of where we've come from. We are confident in who we are today and excited for the road ahead. Hello, I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, also known as the Listening Mentor and President and Founder of USA Global TV and Radio. I had the opportunity, the pleasure of attending a retreat at the Horseshoe Farm just recently. I was so impressed with all of the opportunities that were presented to me in this glorious setting, as well as the highest level of customer service, that I've decided to put together a retreat at the Horseshoe Farm in Hendersonville, North Carolina, United States of America, June 3rd through the 6th, 2026. You can expect to have a beautiful time of relaxation combined with learning, community, collaboration. Do consider joining me in this wonderful opportunity to reconnect with yourself, with others, and with nature. For more information, email me at drjacalyn@usaglobaltv.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.